Welcome to my workshop. I'm Tina and this is Tina's Workshop. And this week I decided for my video I was going to work on my Wonderland squares and try and get myself caught up. And when I checked the mail yesterday, my new one came in. So I thought this week not only am I going to work on squares, but you're going to actually get to see my reaction. I've had no spoilers this month. I was not expecting it yet just because I've been really busy and I hadn't been paying attention. So I have no idea what the color is this month. So we're going to get to see that together. Because normally, by the time I do the video, I've already worked up 2 of the squares. So I thought, well, I'm working on squares, and then since this came in, I was like, I'll work on these squares too. So let's see what we got. As always, our pretty gold wrap. Oh, let's see. So this month, there's our work in progress card. Mr. and Mrs. Robert March requests the pleasure of your company at the marriage of their eldest daughter, Miss Margaret March, to Mr. John Brooke, son of Mr. and Mrs. Brooke, September 15th, 1865, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Moffat at 175 Laurel Lane, Belminster, Massachusetts. So that is our work in progress card. Ooh, let me see. I'm going to take these out of the plastic because they're just that much easier to see. Ah, okay. So we have Little Women, and then we have a little ball of yarn with knitting needles. You guys know I love those. Okay, so on to the gold wrap. Ooh, look at that. That is so dark. Let's see. All our other beautiful colors. Our closest one to this would have been February. So this one has like more purple and kind of more of a fuchsia type color to it. Plum Field is the name for this one. So it's called Plum Field. See, and I normally don't do all this with you guys, so. There we go. That's pretty. And I get the Mad Hatter blend, which is a sport weight. It's 4 ounces, 344 yards, and it's 100% superwash merino. So they do come on a couple different bases, but that's the base that I get mine in. And if you're new here, this is a year-long subscription, and each month you get the yarn and the other bits I showed you. I get 2 skeins of yarn because I'm working both blankets, so I pay for one package and they send me the extra one. There is a discount code below, so it's a year-long subscription. Each month you get a new color, and inside or on the label, I think they moved it, it's on the label, there's the QR code so you can find the pattern for the knit or crochet. And then at the end of the year, you put it all together to make a blanket. It's kind of funny because the block I was just working on trying to get caught up was a February block, so it still needs blocked. So that one's February, and this was last month's blocks. So there's the knit one, there's the crochet one from last month. And so they give you different sizes depending on the size you're going to do. I am planning on doing a throw size of both the knit and the crochet, so I'm doing 2 crochet blocks each month and 4 knit blocks. And I have, this is my little bag I carry all my stuff in. I made that, and then it's got this nice color in there. And I've been keeping track, and I still have 2 knit blocks for February to do, 3 knit blocks for April, 3 knit blocks for June, 3 for July, and 1 crochet for July. And then I need to go back to May and add a couple rounds on my crochet blocks because they weren't quite big enough. And I want to redo my very, very, very first block that was from January because it's a little bit tighter. And I switched, if you're new here, I recently switched from the throw method to continental, and in doing so my tension is looser, which is actually a good thing because I was a very tight knitter. But when I did that very first block I was still throwing, and so it's really tight. So I want to go back and redo that one, but I've been waiting to do that until I get everything else done. So let's see, here is, I am going to cake this up. Where's my Swift? First things first, gotta cake up the yarn. So I'm gonna cake that up, and I'm going to print my patterns out, and I'll be right back. So there is our beautiful cake of yarn. So pretty. And now I don't need this anymore. Get it out of my way. Oh, and I almost forgot. I gotta grab my prints. Okay, so this month's crocheted block is by Grace Stamper. This elegant square motif was inspired by Meg March's wedding from the classic novel Little Women. The center is embellished with a circle of puff stitches, reminiscent of the circle of singing formed by friends and family celebrating together on her special day. Comprised mostly of beginner-level stitches, this motif is a quick design to complete. So there is our crochet block. And our knit block, ooh, pretty. This month's destination is Plumfield from Little Women, a beloved book where characters often knit, which of course makes it even better. Yes, it does. Our square features a traditional lace flower motif, beautifully blooming from the center out. That is really pretty. That one's going to be really pretty with the green one that was flowers. Where did I just set my, oh, it's at my feet. Ha. This one. That's going to be really pretty with that one. Flowers and the leaf. Yeah. I still have a few more squares of that one to do. That's my favorite color so far, was this one. I love that green. I hope they do another green. Okay, let's see which to start with. I think I'm going to start on the knit block. Oh, and this is the inspirational color palette for this. And if you want to join in, if you go down below, there is a discount code. So you can get a discount on your order. It's a 20% off, I believe. And so I've been doing this since January, and I'm really enjoying it. I had never done a block from the center out before I started these, and so the knit block was intimidating to me, and the crochet block was easier because I've been crocheting for, we won't even say how many years, since I was 8. So I've been crocheting a long time, so generally the crochet is much easier for me. And I've only been knitting for 20 years. So that one was a little intimidating. And then as I've been getting into it, for the first couple months, I'd have to look and double check, look up my cast on again and how to do it. And now it's coming naturally. And I've gotten to where I enjoy the knit squares now more than the crochet squares. So it's been a really great way to just practice the knitting and practice different techniques and everything. So I really do recommend doing this. And if you're not quite sure on the knitting, try it. Some of the blocks are super easy and then some have a little bit more, but once you've done the easier ones and then you go to do the ones that are a little bit more, they're really not that hard. And they do, in their patterns, they give you lots of information in these patterns. They give you all the different measurements for the blankets. They give you, your normal needles and notions and your gauge, and then all the different abbreviations. Then you go into the pattern and they actually give you every single round written out in the pattern. But if you're a chart reader and you prefer charts, they also give you the chart. So you can go by the chart. I actually usually go by just their written one, because even when I make charts myself in a pattern, and then I will write up the same thing, I'll do the row by row, and I can read the chart, but I like to go by the written out pattern. So that's just my preference, but some people prefer looking at the charts. So they give you both. They give you the chart, the explanation on the chart and everything. Then this down here shows the different size blankets. This is on the knit one. And so if you do, each one, it shows you how many blocks and how it's going to be laid out. And so I'm doing that middle one. On the crochet one, they give you mostly the same type of stuff. You've got all your materials, your abbreviations, your pattern round by round, but then they just give you the information there on how many you need. It doesn't have the drawn out one, but it tells you what you need depending on what size you're doing. So their instructions are really nice. They give you lots of information. And put these back in the right order now that I started pulling them apart. Let's see, that goes there. Yes, I think I have it right. Okay, so I'm going to move my crinkly paper. Don't accidentally crinkle it later. And I am going to pull out my stuff so I can start the knit square. I've gotten to where I think I like starting on the knit square. I used to start on the crochet square figuring it was going to be easier for me, and now I'm starting on the knit square. And I do fold my patterns in half, and I've been writing the month. This is just what I do. I'm showing you guys what I do this week, this month, this time. So we are in August. So I've been putting in this top corner here, come on focus, what the month is. And then I have my little list so I can go through, and the ones that I am currently still working on making ones for, they all go in here. So they're all stacked here, the ones that I need to work on. And the yarn that is already caked up is in here. And I've been waiting until I finish this before I cake up the next skein. So I've got a number of different ones in here. There's that green. Isn't that green pretty? You guys know I love green. So all my stuff's in here. And when I finish squares, then I put them off to the side here because then I need to block them. So that one I just finished and had not blocked yet that I showed you. Where did that one go? Oh, there it is. You can see the difference. Why we block? Unblocked and blocked. we will set the other beauty over here with our finished blocks and get out my tools. So I have an interesting set of tools in how I do my knit blocks. And there may be other people out there that do this. I don't know, but it's what I do. And it works for me, so put that in there. And so each month you're using the same size crochet hook and the same size knitting needle, so it's really nice. You can just, I have that one bag with everything in it. It's ready to go each month. And when you're doing the square from the center out, you're going to use generally a double point needles. I don't like double point needles. They get in my way, they bother me. So I thought about the flexi flips, which I've not used yet. And one, they're a little expensive, not knowing if I'm going to like them. But two, they're still about the same length as your double points. So even though they're flexible, that needle's still going to kind of be in your way. So I actually bought 2 packs. I got really lucky on this one that they had this needle size in a pack of 3. So I bought 2 packs of 3 because I wanted 5. And so I have an extra. So I bought circular knitting needles. And they are, forget what the length is, they are 16. So they're circular needles, size 16 length. And I use 5 of them. And I use them the same way you would double points. And what I really like about this method is that the needle is out of my way. Instead of sticking straight up when I'm trying to work, I pull it and it's out of my way. So it looks like a crazy C something when I'm working on it, but it works for me. And my beginning of round has my row counter on it. So each time I come to the beginning of the round, I pull off the row counter to put it onto the next needle, and I change my row, stick it on the next needle, and then I work around. And so I'm always coming back to that. So it makes it really easy to remember to move my row counter. So if I set this down, I know where I am. So that's what I do. It works for me, and I like it. So I am going to get started and see where this takes me. Let's see. I made, and you guys may have seen this video a while back, and if you didn't, go back and check it out. I made these great little yarn bowls. It's a crocheted yarn bowl, and it has little pockets in it. You can see my Wonderland Yarns stitch markers hanging on it. And you can stick, you know, like I've got my needle stoppers in here. I've actually got 2 of them sitting here. There's another one from that same video, because I had one I worked on and one that was already done. And your scissors can go right into one of those. My needles, everything's right in there. And then I can stick my yarn down into there. And I think because of the friction of the yarn that's here, it doesn't bounce out like it does when I put it into one of the regular yarn bowls. Even though you put in that little loop, sometimes that just wants to bounce out. And I don't have it bounce out that much, and it's really easy. Like, I can set it wherever I want. I can set it down next to me. It doesn't have to be on a flat surface. So, and I have some like this. The first ones I made are actually next to my bed, and I have like my remote control. I put my glasses, you know, things like that into them. A little bit of lotion, whatever. But really handy dandy. If you want to know how to make it, I have a video. I'll try and remember and link it below, but there is a video in my tutorial playlist. So anyway, my yarn is going in that. Since I'm sitting here, normally it's coming out of my bag, but I'm sitting at my desk today, so I'm going to stick my yarn in there and go from there. I did that so fast I threw myself off. I've gotten so used to doing this now. I just started doing it and completely threw myself off. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. I had to have missed one somewhere. The first little 8 stitches. That's why you gotta start with the double points, because you're not working with very many. The beginning of these squares every month starts off exact same way. So you can kind of pick it up, start going, and get everything set up before you even have to look at the pattern. So it's pretty basic. You're setting up 2 stitches on each needle if you're working with as many as I am. Some people work with 3 needles, so they'll have 2, 2, and then they'll have 4 on the other one. I prefer this way, and then with the way I have the row counter as my beginning of the row marker, works really well. So here is my setup. So it looks like a crazy little C thing, and it looks like it would be confusing. It's really not for me. And now I'm starting up on my first row there, and I know that's the one I'm picking up. So I'm going to grab this off, and I am going to my first row, put 1, put it on the next needle, and I can start my pattern. So this one's a little trickier this month. Usually you're doing a knit into the front and the back, and on that first setup round, and this one you're actually ending that row on a yarn over, so you've got to kind of pay attention to that as you're holding it so that you don't lose your yarn over. I mean, yarn overs are very easy to do. It's just making sure that you're not going to lose it while you are switching from needle to needle. Though when I'm doing socks and I'm working in the round, I do tend to accidentally yarn over when I'm switching needles. Luckily, it's easy enough to take that out. There's enough leeway there. Now I am back to my beginning of round again. Pull that off, change my row, stick it on my next needle, and start again. The first couple rows are always the trickiest. Because you have so few stitches. So even when you're doing the double points, it's just as tricky as it is with these, because they kind of dangle and you got to make sure you don't twist them, because they're narrow enough it's easy to twist. But as soon as you get a couple rows done, it becomes a lot easier. So you can see how I can turn that needle away from me so it's not sticking up like your double points would normally be. I can turn it away from me as I work. That's why I like doing this. So this has lots of yarn overs, which means you've got the extra holes, but here's our first couple rows. Oh, get in front of it. So you can and there's the square. I'm going to keep working on this today, and this video is going to be worked over a few different days, so you're going to get to see a little bit more of my process, and I will sit and chat from time to time, maybe tell you things that as I come across them in the pattern that might be a trickier or something like that, or might be smooth sailing through the whole thing. But I am going to come back and forth over the next few days, and you can see my process as I'm working on these squares. And if I have both of these squares finished, then I might actually go back and work on some of the other squares too within this, because I really want to try and get myself caught up. So we'll see how far I get. Today is Thursday. My videos go out on Wednesdays, so we have a week before the video goes up, so we'll see how far I get by the end of that. So I'll see you back at a different time. So it has been another day, and I've been working on my Wonderland Yarn squares. I was riding in the car a lot with my husband today, and I got my knit square done. I still need to weave in the ends and I need to block it, but I got that one done, and I think it looks really pretty. Yarn needle. I'm going to weave in my end, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it on the blocker because I need to block this one anyway, so I'll block them both at the same time. This one, it worked up, it still worked up easily like the other ones all have, and I have shown this before. So I did not knot off my end, put that way so you can see it. So it's not knotted, but there's kind of a gap there. So I'm actually going to go in, probably, I think I'm going to go in right there, so you can see. So there's where I ended over here, and I'm going to go in right here underneath those two bars, and then I'm going to go back down in the stitch here. Awkward to see. I'm going to go back down into that stitch there where my end one was at, and I'll pull it down, and it'll finish off, give it a nice rounded corner. What was I saying? Oh, it was still a nice easy square to work, though I will say it's a little bit of a fiddly square because of the yarn overs right at the end of the needle, and then switching to your next needle and making sure that you are not undoing that yarn over. So you just kind of have to pay attention, but after you get a couple rows in, it's not so bad. It you kind of get in like a groove, and I found that I was very comfortably I would do that yarn over, and then I'd just kind of hold on to this, and I would adjust that needle where it needed adjusted. I'd pull down to get ready for the next needle, and I would just go along with the next, and then give it a little extra tug to make sure I didn't get too big of a gap. I did, honestly, right here at the very, very beginning, there was 2 spots right there. You can see these 2 holes are bigger than the ones on the other side. So that gap was just a little bit bigger, but then I got to where like I said, I got in the groove of it. And honestly, if I kept doing those other squares right this second, I would probably continue to stay in that groove and shouldn't have any issues keeping those yarn overs consistent. But me being me, and I'm trying to do a video for you guys for this next week. So the next one I'm going to do is actually the crochet square. And then I will come back and work the other ones. So I've actually been trying more recently to do both crochet squares. So I've got them done one right after another. So I'll do the knit square, then do the 2 crochet squares, with the idea then, okay, I can come back, I can do those other knit squares, and then I get busy on something else and I don't get the other knit squares done. But last month, because I was trying to do all the Christmas and July stuff, I didn't even get the 2nd crochet square done. So it is what it is. And I'm going to try and work on them now. Okay, that one is woven in. But the repeats were pretty easy. As usual, I went through my repeats with the written instructions and not the chart. The nice thing about the chart, though, is if you are having issues with the written instructions and trying to understand what stitch you're doing next, if you're misunderstanding it, you do have the chart to go to. Now, you do not have the chart on the crochet squares, though. Some of you might like the crochet charts, but there's the knit charts, there's not the crochet charts. I didn't weave in the ends on this one yet either, so I'm going to weave that in real quick, and then I can go ahead and block them. I still find it funny that I had started working on the other one that was such a similar color. So I actually just got done recording my weekly update, and I'm now going on to this one. So it is currently Friday evening, and it is, what is it? It's just after 7 in the evening. So when I get done with this, I actually need to still edit my video that needs to go out for tomorrow. So I will do that in a moment. Okay. And different people have their different ways of blocking things. And I'm honestly still learning on blocking. I've only been blocking things maybe for like a year now. I've only been spinning for 2 years, which means in that same sense, I've only been using the wools and the different natural fibers for 2 years now. I've always used acrylics and maybe some cotton, but basically just the acrylic yarn. And the items that I would make, I never really had a need for blocking them. And then at one point I decided I had some squares and I wanted to block them. So I had my husband make me a blocking board with wood dowels, which is really nice. So like if I'm doing granny squares or something like that, I have that I can just stretch them over. But I never had like the blocking boards like this until really recently, probably around the time I started doing this actually, maybe just before. So I've just started doing that. I've only just started making socks, which is something to block, and let's see, what have I blocked? So I've blocked some squares, I've blocked these squares, and I've blocked socks. I think that's the only thing I've actually ever blocked. So when I do my socks, I do go fully submerge them and wash them. But when I do these, I've just been actually using a little spray bottle and misting them. I mist both sides and I try and make sure I get all of it, so I kind of uncurl it and make sure I get into all of it. And I do the back side too. And then kind of squeeze it. And some people might cringe at me doing this, but this is what I've been doing. And it's been working for me. It's been working really nice on these. And then I am using T-pins, and my blocking boards, I don't know if that's like a normal thickness, but they're kind of thin and I tend to poke my pins all the way through them. So I put two together. And I stretch them out and do my little measuring so that I'm stretching them or condensing them to the size that I need. So for the knit squares, I believe it is 7, if I remember correctly, it's 7 by 7. I think they're 7 by 7, and I think the crochet ones are 8.5 by 8.5. Yeah, the knit squares are 7 by 7, the crochet squares are 8.5 by 8.5. So I am blocking them to that. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't have the like actual blocking pins, which are really cool. And I do want to get them at some point, but I've just been using the T-pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sometimes I've thought about just I need to like just write on here these different measurements because they're the ones I'm using all the time. So I start with my 4 corners, and then depending on the block that month, I add in extra pins. So I have had some months, I actually showed you one, I think it was March, it was the gold one, the one that I'm going to go add more to, and I stuck a ton of pins into that one trying to get it to the size it needed to be, which still contracted afterwards, so that's why I'm going to go back and add probably 2 rounds of single crochet onto it. And this one is got a real nice shape to it, so I'm just sticking 3 more pins on each side. This is the February one, by the way. I know that they're all close to the same color. So after I get my pins in, there's all my pins, I like to take my spray and I give it another little spritz on this side, and then just kind of pat it, move it if I need to. So there's that one. So now I'm going to do my other one. So this is the one for this month. So again, I'm just going to spray it all around, make sure I get unfold bits that need unfolded, because I do want to try and get the water into all of it, but I have found I don't need to fully soak these. They work. They block really, really nicely. It's a really nice yarn. Okay, let's see. 7 by 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And right up to there. Oh, and this one's going to block really nicely, so I think I will, ouch, poked myself. So I think I'm going to do 3 pins on each side on this one too. I could probably get away with doing 1 or 2 on each side, but an extra pin's not going to hurt anything. Well, this square is really pretty. Goes great with those hearts, but it's still, I just really love the idea of this one with that green one with the leaves on it. I have a feeling when I put my blocks together, unless they give us directions to say, oh, put it by this one, I have a feeling I will be putting this one near that green one. Ooh. Okay, there we go. We're in my lap. Extra little spritz. I love this little bottle. I use this too when I'm spinning, if I'm getting too much static in the fleece I'm spinning. So it stays right here in my drawer and it fits. I can close my drawer with that. So there you go. There's the knit block for this month. Isn't that pretty? Now, I will say, I have 2 rounds I did on this that somewhere on the one side I had to have missed a stitch, and I'm thinking that maybe it was a yarn over that I yarned over and then lost the yarn over or something. So as I came around, I was like, I'm short, because I'm counting the numbers, and I do it on each side. I count to make sure I'm doing that stitch count right, especially when you're doing something like this and you want to make sure everything's lining up properly. And I'd get to the end of the row and I'd be short a stitch, and I'm like, oh crud, what happened to that stitch? And I have no idea what happened to that stitch, and I'm like, I would have to pull all the way back around to that one, or maybe go 2 more back around to figure out what I did to that one stitch. So I actually just did, depending on the way the row was, on that last stitch I either did a knit into the front and back, or right before that yarn over on the end I did a knit into the front and back, just to add that extra stitch without creating these extra diagonals or holes like with a yarn over. And then crossed my fingers that when I was done it didn't mess with the patterning. But after I did it the second time, I really tried to make sure that I paid attention, which I did anyway, so I still don't know how this happened, but to really make sure that that stitch count was coming out right, even if it meant I was counting the plain knit row on the next one, because you do a pattern row and then a knit row. So, and in looking at this, everything looks like it's lining up properly. So I don't know what I did, but it didn't seem to mess it up. So I think I just got lucky. Nothing seems off. So it worked, but those are the 2 biggest things I'd say to remember about this square when you're working it. Is it's fiddly because of that yarn over at the end of your needle before you switch to the next needle. And because of that, then pay attention to that stitch count so you don't end up off. But otherwise, it's a nice knit. It's worked the same way as this one. They're both worked with the yarn overs and knitting together, and it's a really nice, fun knit. So, okay, so that one is done. That one is done. So the next one I'm actually going to start on is going to be the crochet one. And this one's by Grace Stamper. And we are making sure everything's the same. Yep, using our G hook. And how many rounds do we have on this one? 10 rounds. Only 10 rounds on this one. But it does look like there's you got a lot of tall stitches. So looks like there's a lot of treble crochets. And this is all written in US terms too, by the way. Yeah, treble, oh, and double trebles. Yeah, so we got some really tall stitches. So it's only 10 rows because we are working some really tall ones. This one's gonna be fun. This one's gonna be the next one I cast on. And I think that's enough though for this video, because I need to get off of this and edit that other video, and then maybe I will get this one started tonight. I'm not positive. It may not get started till tomorrow, so we'll see, because it is already 7:30. I need to get that other video edited so it can get uploaded. But I will talk to you tomorrow, and we will be doing something with this. We'll see. So see you in a few minutes for you, but in a day for me. I'm gonna make today's clip a little short. I haven't even turned on all my lights. It's been a long day. It's 8:30 now. My husband and my sister-in-law actually just ran to the store to pick up something to come home, make some chili dogs. So I'm gonna be eating some late food too. I worked on my crochet square for a little bit last night, and then I tried to work on it a little bit today while we were at the corn roast, but I'm trying to pay attention to stitch counts and stuff and talking to people. Not the easiest thing, so I have not gotten that far on it. I say that, but it's probably about halfway through. So here is how it is looking so far, and it works pretty easy. The only thing I did notice on one of the rounds, it said work into the chain 2 space, yet it was actually a chain 3 space is what it had you do before. So I just figured it out and I did it. So I am currently on round 5, and I think I said there's 10 rounds. Yeah, there's 10 rounds. So I am quarter of the way through round 5. So I'm getting there. I was just next door teaching my neighbor girl to crochet. We're working on a Woobles kit. She wanted to do a Woobles kit, so if you notice something missing, there was a frog one back here. I actually bought it for my husband, and she is now using it. So the video of my husband doing it may not happen unless I go get him another one. But anyway, that's a whole different story. That's for my longtime viewers that knew all about that. So if you're just joining me, you haven't heard all those stories yet. But so far, this has been working really nicely. So got little puff stitches here, and then you actually do, so this next round, this round here, so this is the round I'm currently working on, it's just this piece here, but this round here, when you worked that round, you had made from the round before, you made corner points, and then when you worked this round, you moved those corner points, so it's adjusting it like that. So that's what's going on there. I just heard people coming in the house, so I'm going to wrap that up for today, and I will come back to you tomorrow and show you my progress. We'll see how much progress I do get. I have a wedding tomorrow, but it is a little ways away, so I might have some time to work in the car. We'll see. They're windy roads, and when you're concentrating on something like that, windy roads are not always the best. But I will check back in with you tomorrow. So we just got back from the wedding. It was a really nice wedding. Very hot though. It got to 93, and there was very limited air conditioning, and part of it was outside, so got quite toasty. But otherwise, it was a very nice wedding, and there's a very long windy road getting there. So I did some crocheting, but not a whole lot, because crocheting on a windy road, not always the funnest. But that being said, I did finish my crochet square, so I am going to get it blocked, and before I put it on the block, you can see what it looks like. So pins would be helpful. I had a little bit of trouble on this one, and the trouble was fully understanding the pattern And once I figured it out, I was fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and a half. There. So it took a minute to get that. But as soon as I got that part figured out, I did fine. It was actually the round I was on yesterday when I was recording. And that part of the round I had to pull back out and redo. So I will tell you what that part is so that if you're doing this too, you'll know ahead of time. And I probably wouldn't have even figured it out, except when I got to the second half of that row, when I was doing the opposite, it was worded slightly different. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's not the way it said it on the other side. So I went back and forth and looked at it a number of times and finally was like, okay, I see what they're actually trying to say here. And I can see where they, being the ones writing it, thought it was explanatory enough. I actually need to put a couple pins in this center one to try and straighten it out. So this is a perfect example of some need a few more pins than others. Because I want the center to be a nice circle. So I need to add just a few pins into there. Trying to bring that circle out some. Add a few more spritzes into it. That all lay down. Okay, so here we go. There is that square finished. And it's a really pretty square, and once I've figured out that part that I was messing up on, I didn't have too many other issues. Or any issues. I think that was the only issues I had. It was on, let's see, round. I wanted to mark it on here for the next time I do it. And I was in the car, so I hadn't done it yet, but round. Okay, so it was in round 5, and it says to do, it says treble crochet 3, double crochet 2, half double crochet 2 in chain 3 space. And then when you get to the other side, it says treble crochet 3, double crochet 2. Wait, no, hold on, where am I at? Reverse. There we go. It says half double crochet 2 in chain 3 space, double crochet 2, treble crochet 3. So that was in the reverse. But the way it sounded, it was the treble crochet. Here, let's see if I can show you, like right there between my fingers. See where it says it? So it's treble crochet 3 comma, double crochet 2 comma, half double crochet 2 in the chain 3 space. And that's where it got threw me off, because I was thinking all that was in the chain 3 space, because it was decent sized chain 3 space. It was big enough for all that. But it was only supposed to be half double crochet 2 in that space. So the way it got worded there, it kind of threw me off. So it almost needed like treble crochet 3 in the previous stitches or something. So what I am going to do for myself is just put the little red lines around it so I know, okay, when I come to that, that is what's being done in that space. But let me tell you, I went back and forth on that one a few times trying to figure it out, and then finally I was like, oh, okay, they're saying to do 3 treble crochets, 2 double crochets, then work into that space. So that was I think that was the only spot that threw me off in the whole thing. The rest of it was pretty self-explanatory. And a trick that I do when I get stuck, they have a really nice picture. They always have a very nice picture of the square. So there's a lot of times if I do kind of get stumped, I figure out where that row is on here and I'll look at it, and a lot of times I can be like, okay, they did that stitch there, and I can figure it out if it messes me up. But I did not actually do that this time. I just kept looking at, because I'm like, I'm seeing something wrong. And I finally figured out what I was seeing wrong. So that being said, my 2 basic squares that I usually have done to do this video are complete, but we are only on Sunday, so we'll see how much more I can get done before this video goes up on Wednesday. And there's currently a dog wanting to go outside, you know, the usual, especially for me. So I guess I will go ahead and wrap up today, and I will come back to you tomorrow, and maybe I will have a little bit more time to sit and chat. We shall see. I'm not really sure. It is now almost 8 o'clock at night. We just got home, and the wedding was planned for 2 o'clock today, so we're only just getting home, and it's been a long day. So I may sit down and work on this a little bit tonight, but I'm not positive yet. So we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye. Well, I am sitting here watching The Playful Knitter on YouTube. She has just hit 6,000 subscribers. So awesome. She is a vlogger from Denmark, and I really enjoy watching her. And while I am doing that, I am making myself some new stitch markers because I can't help myself, so that I can use them on my Wonderland yarns. Get the little white rabbit. Isn't they cute? I'm doing some other ones too, not just the white rabbit, but I'm doing a couple white rabbit. I'm doing some special ones for different people, and I got a whole bunch of spinning wheels. Aren't those cute? But anyway, been sitting here doing that, and then I need to pull pins from my blocks because I did the second block last night. So now I have both crocheted blocks done. So, and if you notice, I did something a little bit better on the second one. I don't know what, but my center, I'm trying to get them to both line up in here. There we go. My center circle is more circle-y. So I didn't have to actually put extra pins in to block that. So that was a plus. And it went a lot quicker, though I was also sitting at home working on it and not riding in the car like I had been doing with the other one. Both of them. So now I can add those to my stack of crochet squares. They're so pretty. I kind of want to lay them out and just see how big it all is. Here's my stack of my knit squares. And I was telling you how I wanted to redo the first one. The second one's a little small too. I guess I'll have to look at it. Maybe I did 2 of them before I had switched. You can see the difference here. I mean, it's not huge, but it is. There is a little bit of a difference there in size. I don't know whether I'll redo them or not. I might not. And then let's see, here's the, okay, so these are the two I said I thought would look really pretty together. Don't those look pretty? I love that green one. I mean, they all look pretty together. I can't wait to see them all together. All done. See what other colors still come out. So now I need to, let's see, I think I still have one crochet square from last month. So I might do that one next just so that I know I have all the crochet ones done. And then work on the other knit ones. Let's see, where are we at? August. Yeah, because I just have that one crochet one, and then the other ones I want to add, which I might add, as long as I have pulled everything out right now, I might do where I add onto these. These were the ones that came out kind of small, so I'm just going to add another couple rows because they have a straight border row. So if I add another, maybe, let's see, 2 rows. Let's click on it. So you can see the size difference here. It just, but when you get up by the ones I just did last night, they're really small, but that one will relax a little bit. See, they look very small right now, but I just took this off the blocker, so it will relax a little bit. But I think if I add maybe another, at least another 1 row, but I think I might add 2 rows onto that. So I might do that as long as I have them out. Do that, do my other crocheted square, then all the crochet ones are done. And then I just have 2 for knit, 2 for February, 1 April, no, 2 for February, 3 for April, 3 for June, 3 for July, 3 for August. Still a lot of squares, but I can do it. I know I can. So this one here is the other one I still need to do a second one of. So I think I will do that second one and add to these 2. That's going to be my next item of business. Next item of crochet. While I sit here, let's see, this is the one I need. Yes, yes, this one. Not pretty. So pretty. Actually looks a little blown out there. It's got a little bit more of a turquoisey look than it's showing on what I'm seeing. I don't know, on the camera it looks pretty good. On the screen, not as much. So maybe you are seeing it okay. So I'm going to work on that and sit here and watch a little bit more Playful Knitter. I'm only 13 minutes in. And just sit and enjoy myself. I have been comparing crochet hooks. I bought recently the fire hooks, and Spiffy Handmade really likes them, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna try these. They had a big sale. As most of you probably know, I am very partial to Furls crochet hooks. I love Furls hooks. I love my husband's hooks too, but next to his, I love the Furls hooks, but my favorite is the Odyssey hooks, which they don't make anymore. Mainly, the biggest reason is the length of the necks on them. I like the shorter neck that the Odyssey has. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try the Fire and see what they're like. So I bought a couple of them. And to be perfectly honest, I've been using them on my last number of them. of squares, and this is the hook I've been using for a while now because I didn't have a furls hook in this size, so I've been using that one, which works nicely. But I love the ergonomic. They're just so much easier. And I got this one from That Darn Yarn, I think it was, on Instagram. And so this is like one of my other go-tos for a G hook. But I've been using this one, and I find that I split my threads more. It's very, very pointy. I've been splitting my threads, and it's got such a sharp, harsh hook on it that as I come back through, it catches on the threads. So if I feel like it really slows me down as I'm working, so I pulled this one back out and was doing mine last night with this one, and it was just so much easier. It just glided through. I wish I had a furls in a G, but I don't have a G yet. I have a lot of other sizes. I don't have a G. So I think I need to get one. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Some people really, really like these. But I think I'm finding that I do not care for them quite as much as I do the furls hooks. Though, like I said, this is That Darn Yarn, and she does beautiful hooks, and this one is a clover, just basic little clovers. I don't like to use the metal ones. My hands hurt too much with them. I have a ton of them, but my hands hurt way too much when I use them. They cramp up. I have arthritis in every finger, so they cramp up. So I need the ergonomic hooks, which is what my husband makes too. He makes the ergonomic. Anyway, that was a little side note tangent. Sorry about that, but I'm going to get to work on my next square. Okay, I got these. I put an extra row on each of these, and that brings them up very easily to the, actually almost brings it to 9. So if there's a little bit of shrinkage here, they'll still be a good size. So those are now complete. They can get put back into my stack. And I have started my last square that's crocheted. So I'm in the process of that one. It's getting late. I'm not going to sit here in front of my computer much longer. I made a whole bunch of stitch markers. Aren't they cute? All kinds of stuff. And there's some other ones I made too. I have been teaching my neighbor's girl to crochet, and I made her a couple and brought them over as we were working on her crochet tonight too. So that took up some of my time. I was over there doing that. And I want to get this yarn caked up because I really do want to start the chicken that this is going to be too. Too many things. I want to do too many things. I want to do them all. As the cat lady says, craft all the things, C-A-T-T. Yes, that's what I want to do. So anyway, I'm going to sign off as far as my video goes for tonight, and I'll see where I get to tomorrow. I've got at least one doctor's appointment tomorrow. So I'll get some work done there. I always get some work done when I sit at that doctor. And what else do I have tomorrow? Oh, I've got to go pick up my fair entries tomorrow. So all those will be coming home. So I've got a few errands to run. We'll see how much I get done. But like I said, I do have that one appointment, and sometimes I end up sitting there for a little while. So I will be working on something there. We'll see what I end up bringing. I brought my socks that I'm knitting with me today when I took a friend to an appointment. So I will either be bringing chicken, or I will be bringing Wonderland Yarns. I should be bringing Wonderland Yarns. So we'll see what I end up with, but who knows, maybe I will get that square done tonight, and then I'll just be on to getting those knitted squares done. So I'm gonna put these all back, but look at all those squares. So awesome. Look at them all. Okay. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, I got a little bit more done today. And last night I finished the last crochet square. So I need to block that, but that means all of my crochet squares are currently up to date. And I started the knit block, the third knit block for February. So that's where I'm at right now. I am on row 17 out of 30 rows. So just over halfway. So I may try and finish that up tonight, and I then will probably be putting a hold again on working on these blocks, just because one, I want to do that emotional support chicken, get that finished, but I also just got 2 orders for baby blankets, so I need to get those done, and then I can come back and work on doing more of that. Look, I made my little Wonderland earrings, like the stitch markers to go with my little Wonderland necklace. Okay, you couldn't see it very well, sorry. I happen to really like Alice in Wonderland. Come on, show. So that one sits on the desk with me, but I have a whole bunch of Alice in Wonderland stuff. From here I can see a whole bunch of it up on, I have like a shelf up there, and it's just all full of Alice in Wonderland. So I like Alice in Wonderland. Anyway, I hope that gives you a little bit more information and in-depth on the Wonderland Yarns subscription for the Tour of the Season blanket monthly subscription. So we are just over halfway through, but you can still order and do the rest of the year. You would still get enough yarn to do a blanket. You should still get enough. You will have access to all the patterns from the beginning of the year through. So you'll get each block. You can still go back and do the other blocks. So if you're like, oh man, I really liked that block, you still get access to all the blocks, the knit and the crochet blocks. And they do have some yarns that are from past months that are available, but they have, if you pick your specific base, like I have the Mad Hatter base, and you want a few other colors, they have other colors and stuff on their website that are absolutely stunning and would go well with this. So, you know, don't think because we're in August that you can't still join us and do this blanket. And the squares, I mean, if you really want to sit down and do this, the squares are not that hard that it would be that intimidating that you couldn't do it. And if you don't finish at the end of the year and it carries over into next year, that's okay too. So I'm trying to get mine done by the end of the year, but then again, I'm trying to share it all with you guys too. So, so I'm trying to be a little bit more on the ball here. Make sure and like and subscribe and leave me a comment. Don't forget there's a link in the description below to Wonderland Yarns. There is a discount code for 20% off. And if I finish that block before I edit tomorrow, then I will show it to you. Otherwise, I will see you at the end of the week for my weekly update. So we'll see y'all again soon. Bye.